Welcome back to my channel. I am here with another video. So in my previous video, which I don't understand like how some people were like, do more mukbangs. This video is more about what happened after I had my baby and how I was affected by it. And I feel like it's important to talk about this because not that it's not spoken about, but I feel like us women tend to get lost in our social media accounts, right? So what I mean by that is, and I do it all the time, I'm on Instagram and I'm scrolling and I'm like, look at this bitch. Perfect life, perfect family, perfect baby. Looks like she got 8 hours of sleep last night. And you start to think like, oh my God, like these people have the perfect life and my life has just gone to shit. It's rough and we get caught in it. So that's why I wanted to make this video. So I gave birth to my son May 2nd, 2018. And prior to that, on Easter, this is kind of like a continuation from the last video, I had pulled my back. It was like my right side of my middle back. It was hurting like when I pulled it initially, but when I had my son, by the time I gave birth, it was like the worst pain ever. The pain was so bad after I gave birth. I had a C-section, so I have the pain from the C-section. If you've had a C-section, you know it is extremely painful when you're recovering. I had that, and then I had the back pain. The back pain was so bad that it was the last night of me in the hospital. I couldn't move, and I had to it was in the morning, probably like, I don't know, 5 o'clock in the morning. The nurse came and I asked her to take the baby to the nursery because I couldn't move. And you know, when you're going through these things, you don't realize the effect that it's having on you, right? So that goes for anything. Like when you're going through a traumatic experience, sometimes it's not registering as being traumatic as it's happening. It kind of like hits you afterwards. So just had my baby, had a C-section. My back is hurting so much. I'm in so much pain. I'm sleeping on this hospital bed. I was in the hospital for about 4 days because I had the C-section and because he was in the NICU because I had an infection. They were just monitoring him. He was fine. So finally, you know, I took him home. The initial shock of being a mother didn't really like, I guess we can call it the baby blues. They didn't really kick in till like a week after I had my son, because you figure I was there for about 4 days. By the time I went home and a few days had passed, one day I was home and I didn't know any better. Like that was probably the first and last time I did it. I boiled his nipples, right, to make sure they were clean, no germs, yada yada. I forgot them on the stove, and the ring that the nipple sits in had melted in the pot, and the water had dried up. The rings melted, and I smelled something. It wasn't a fire or anything, but when I finally realized, I was like, oh my God, I am the world's worst mother. Like I just broke down crying. And I mean, I broke down crying, and that crying lasted 5 days maybe. Like this is not an exaggeration. It was just like boom, it hit me like a ton of bricks, just like fuck, you know, like it's like this, I don't know how to explain it. It's like it was a gajillion emotions. It was like, I'm a fucking failure as a mother. I just like melted the rings to his bottles. Now like he's gonna starve, which was not the case because I think I had backup, or like we went and bought more bottles. Whatever the case was, obviously it wasn't a big deal, but to me it was. And I remember that day he was crying uncontrollably and I didn't know what to do. Like it was just so overwhelming, and I get like emotional thinking about it because I kind of feel bad for me thinking about it. Like I was just so scared and like didn't know how to handle it, and I was going through the baby blues, which in my opinion was like ultimately postpartum depression. And I was overwhelmed and I was just sleep deprived because sleep deprivation is the number one thing that is like torture when it comes to motherhood. You just don't fucking sleep. My son woke up every hour, 45 minutes for like the first 3 months or so. And it was rough, to say the least. But so I'm home, I'm dealing with that. The emotions start to kick in. My back pain is still there. And I eventually had to go for an MRI, which showed nothing. Like there was nothing wrong. There was no slip disc, no nerves messed up, nothing. When I became a mom, when my baby blues kicked in, a part of it was like, oh my God, I love this baby so much. Like I can't even handle my feelings right now. Like I feel like you don't know what love is until you have a baby. That's just my experience. Like, you know, you're like, oh yeah, I love my man. Oh my God, my man. And then you have a baby and you're like, fuck my man, fuck everybody else. I love my baby. That's it. Like, it's just like love on another level. To me, it's not even love. Like they haven't even come up with a word for love for your children. It should be a new word that describes the love for your child. Fast forward to my follow-up with my OBGYN, which I don't remember. I think it was like 2 weeks postpartum. I remember going into his office and he, I guess because he knows and he's seen it, he said, you know, you have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your relationship because those things tend to get lost after you have a baby, which is true. And I was just like, I broke down in his office because you lose yourself after having a kid. Obviously, it's not the same for everybody, right? There's women who have kids and the next day they're like, putting on my eyeliner or whatever. That was not me. When I got my results for my pap smear, it came back abnormal. So they had to do a cone biopsy to make sure that all the abnormal cells were removed. Now, if you know anything about this, you know that this is caused by the HPV virus, which I have. Most people do. If you don't know what it is or you're not, you know, you're like, oh my God, look it up, Google it. It's like really common. It is sexually transmitted. I think I got it when I was like 18 or something. I'm not sure. But that's what it's caused by. My pap smear came back abnormal. It's called HSIL. I don't know what that stands for, but that was my result. So they did a cone biopsy. Now, in order to do the cone biopsy, I had to be put under general anesthesia. I had never been put under. I have like this fear of dying, which like all my fears have just heightened ever since I had my son. Like your whole body changes, your mind changes, your hormones change. Physically, you're changing. Everything changes when you become a mother, including like your anxiety and fears. So I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna give me anesthesia. I'm gonna die. And then, you know what I mean? Like it's like crazy. And I know like some of you watching are probably like, oh God, like fucking relax, Sam, you know, but that's just how I felt. And I was like so scared. And like, as a new mom, the last thing you want to think is I have fucking cancer. Like, so it's just all these things being thrown at me. And I'm like trying to process everything. I'm like, I'm hurting. My back's hurting. Oh my God, I might have cancer. He's hungry. He's crying. A million things. But by the time I got the cone biopsy, I had already went back to work. So this was about 3 months postpartum. Thank God I got a good, you know, a positive result and everything was fine. I could move forward. I just have to follow up. I think it was like the next year or something. Everything aside, now focusing on motherhood and just being a working mom now, right? Because now I'm back at work and being a first-time mom because that's also at play here too. I've never raised a kid. I don't have siblings. I have like younger cousins, but I didn't raise them. So like, I don't know anything. And really Google has helped me so much. Like, I want to say the first 6 months of his life, specifically the first like 3 months of his life, I spent so much time using Google. Like, and I don't mean like I was neglecting my child. No, it was like anything he did, like I'd be like, Google, oh my God, like what does this mean? You know, because you're just bugged out. You're like, what the fuck? Like, is this normal? Is this like what? I don't know. So that was me just like obsessing over everything. I would say the first year of his life, he'll be 18 months tomorrow, November 2nd. Ooh, November 2nd. And like the first year of his life was really hard for me because while I'm trying to bond with my son, which not trying, obviously I did bond with my son. We're very close. I love him. Whatever feelings I had never got in the way of me bonding with him. We're best friends. That's what I like to call him. He's my little biffle. So, you know, we spend all our time together, obviously. And so, like, you know, it never got in the way of me bonding with him, but it was just personally, internally, I was struggling. And I did have postpartum depression because everything changed. And something as simple as watching a YouTube video wasn't that simple anymore for me. You don't think of these things. You don't know the type of baby you're gonna have. And I remember something that was really hard for me was that, I know this sounds like corny, but before I had my son, I used to watch Howard Stern episodes on YouTube every day. When I had my son, it's so fucked up the way this happened. When I had my son, I don't know if it was the same fucking day or the next day, but so at that time period that I was in the hospital, they completely like deleted all those videos off YouTube. I guess because of the copyright issues, they were gone. So when I went back to watch, I'm like, where the fuck are all these videos? They were completely gone. It was like devastating for me because imagine like you love a song by Celine Dion, right? And like you listen to it every day and then it's gone and you can't listen to it anymore. You're gonna be like hurt. And for me, that was like my peace. You know, I would watch my videos, I would laugh. Like, I mean, the shit was funny as hell. Now I'm like, I have my baby. Where is my happiness coming from? Like what made me happy before, I don't have access to anymore. Like it's gone. So not only do I not have time to watch it, but if I do find some time to watch it, it's not there anymore. So I was just like sad. Like I had this sadness, like, oh no, you know, like that one little thing that made me happy, like I don't have it anymore. It was just crazy, and it took a long time to kind of like get back some of the things that I used to do pre-baby. And like I said, something as simple as actually sitting there and watching a YouTube video. It took me a while to do these things again. What I did eventually start watching with him was Friends. And I always loved Friends. That's like my favorite show. And it really helped me get to a point where like I felt like myself again, you know, because really that's what it is. Like you don't feel like yourself. And something as small as watching a show can help you feel like yourself or not if you can't do it. So that was hard. And eventually I found ways of doing things. Eventually I started taking better care of myself. I started putting on makeup here and there, you know, obviously not all the time. I eventually cut my hair. Oh, okay, that's another thing. My hair fell out almost 3 months to the day postpartum. And I thought it was because of the surgery that I had, but it wasn't, because that's not possible. It was because of my hormone levels that were like this, and eventually trying to like level out, that my hair fell out. And when I did research, I found out that it happens to a lot of women. And when I tell you my hair fell out, the shit fell out. And I remember being in the shower, pulling clumps of hair out, and all this was gone. You see this? This all grew back. Maybe I could show you, like, okay. You see these short pieces? This is all what grew back. because my hairline, it was like non-existent. I noticed something was off when I went into the bathroom, and it looked like I had a tan, and here was like white. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I haven't went outside. I've been home like all day. And then when I washed my hair, all the fucking hair started falling out. I was devastated. Now it's growing back, thankfully, because I miss my long hair. And I have some time to like straighten it. He's older now, you know, so he keeps himself more busy. Like, he has his toys, he watches his show. I'll give him a little snack. He'll sit on his he has like a couch that I got him. So, you know, it takes time to get back to where you used to be. I don't think, you know, you're never really gonna get your previous life back, because that's just not possible. But you find a way to incorporate that into your new life so you don't lose yourself. And it took me a long time, and I'm still learning. Still learning how to do that, and how to balance self-care and being a good mother at the same time. I know it's like so hard for women, because we do everything. We do everything. And it's very rare. I'm not talking about help from, let's say, your mother or whoever. It's very rare that you have a supportive partner who's going to help alleviate that stress from you. It's very rare. And if you have that, be grateful. But as women, sometimes, even if we do have that help, it's hard for us to sit back and say, okay, you can do it. For some of us, that's not possible. So we end up taking on most of the work, and it's just draining. And that's why you have breakdowns, meltdowns, depression, whether it be postpartum depression or regular depression. We go through our days, and we do so much without even thinking about it, that when we finally do think about it or have 5 minutes, it's like, oh my God. And then you just break. And I've had so many times like that where I just lay in bed and like cry, because you just need a break, and you feel like it's never gonna come, but then it does. And that's your time to just regroup and, you know, focus a little bit, and then you can jump back into it. So, you know, in the comments, I would like you guys to let me know if you guys can relate to anything I said, or if you've experienced anything similar. I just want to be like as honest with you guys as possible. You know, maybe my next video, I'll talk about his first birthday and how I planned that, or just, you know, different milestones throughout let's say the first year or first year and a half, since he's almost a year and a half, which is crazy to think. It's been a interesting journey so far, and it just begun. So I will catch you later, because I want to go rest a little bit. He's napping, as you can tell. It's very quiet. And I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.